I was taught that discipline is the biggest form of self-love, at Michigan State. And what I mean by that is, if you're willing to be disciplined, you're willing to get up early, do the hard stuff, nothing shows that you want better for yourself more than pushing yourself through those adverse moments or persevering through difficult times.
So welcome to another episode of At the Podium with Manuel Mesqua. I am super amped up. This is a huge weekend in the state of Michigan, the great state of Michigan. As most of you know, there's this tremendous rivalry that's just been penting up with aggressive frustration and competitiveness and between two organizations, Michigan State University and the University of Michigan. Both teams coming into this weekend 7-0. And so today I invited a good friend onto the show, Keith Nichol. And Keith is a wealth advisor to business leaders, entertainers, and professional athletes. He's a household name here in the Midwest. And Keith, it's so good to have you on the show today.
I appreciate you guys having me.
Awesome. So look, as you know, our head of production, Chad Miles, was standing on a table at a Buffalo Wild Wings on October 22nd of 2011 for a very specific reason. And so we're going to play that.
A very deep defensive set for the Badgers. Three safeties go back inside the 10-yard line.
I said Nick Toon, but they put Jared Abradaris back there instead.
Three-man rush. Cousins on the last play of regulation chucks it to the end zone. Caught. Michigan State's caught it on a rebound. Hold on. It is just short of the end zone. Instant replay. We'll take a look at this. The Spartans caught the ricochet.
After further review, the runner did cross the goal line.
Touchdown, Michigan State, with a miracle ending.
Great moments and memories, man. That was, a better athlete would have gotten across the goal line with no issue. There would have never been a review.
You did cross it with no issue. It was obviously overruled because it was indisputable.
Yeah, right. Just
hey, man,
time to confirm the call. That's all.
Seriously, nearly exactly 10-year anniversary of that day and that moment. And I'll tell you, I just have always thought ever since Samantha and I moved here in 2017, I'm like, how crazy is it? One moment in time can have such a dramatic impact on thousands, if not hundreds of thousands of people. And that one catch and that one moment against the number 6 Wisconsin Badgers with 3 seconds left in the game, pass from Kirk Cousins, gave you the share of the Big Ten championship that year. Is that not correct?
That's it. That's exactly correct.
Yeah. How special?
That's special. It's interesting the comment you made about impacting so many lives. Impacted mine too. And as an athlete, you prepare every day, and you always envision and dream of special moments and winning a game, a big game, whatever it might be. And you prepare for those moments in your mind, so you expect them to happen in a lot of ways. But what you can't prepare for yourself for is the impact it makes on other people and the impact it'll make on yourself. For this is 10 years, like you said, and we're still talking about it. So I'm very fortunate to be on the receiving end and to make it happen.
Yeah, I love it. It's just such a special story, right? And so I get to Michigan and, we're in a similar industry and people keep mentioning your name and they're like, oh, the catch. And coming from Chicago, I'm just a little bit ignorant to a lot of the great traditions in Michigan, at least at that time I was. Talk to us about the transition from, I think it was Oklahoma, right? Oklahoma to Michigan State. Well, how did that's got to be a tough decision, but you made the decision. And I've heard you say no regrets, greatest decision you made in your life. But what happened that was a decision that needed to be made? And talk to me about the impact of your time at Michigan State since then.
Yeah. So I'm from the Grand Rapids area, west side of the state, and was recruited out of high school as a 5-star All-American, all those things that come with some success. We had a lot of success in high school. I go to Oklahoma out of high school. And at the time, and they still kind of are in a lot of ways, they're pumping a ton of talent into the NFL in a way that maybe like Alabama is doing right now. You go to Oklahoma and you start, you have a chance to play at the next level. And so that was what I wanted to do, and play at the highest level, which they were doing. And that's when Adrian Peterson and those guys were there, and they're getting ready to leave. So I go to Oklahoma, played as a true freshman, was in a quarterback battle with a guy named Sam Bradford. He goes on to be a Heisman Trophy winner, number 1 overall pick. He was a great fit for their offense, and reflecting on it. Now we're in the same grade. And I'm not going to sit around and wait for a guy to get hurt because he's a redshirt freshman. I was a true freshman. We both had played in that battle. So, I said, listen, I'm from West Michigan. I want to be with my family. I grew up in Michigan State Spartan, and my mom went there, cousins. Had Michigan State flags in my backyard my whole life. And so I wanted to go back home and be around family in my community, and get there in a quarterback battle with a guy named Kirk Cousins, who another great NFL talent. We go into a deep competition. I dislocate my elbow against Illinois, and that really stalled that competition. He kind of takes over and does great, and they need help at wide receiver. And so I transitioned into that position because first and foremost, I'm an athlete. And that's how I always envisioned myself. I'm an athlete first, a quarterback second, and I want to win. And that's all I want to do. So wide receiver was going to help the team. I want to win. And that's what we went on doing. It wasn't just me. A lot of great players, a lot of great victories. That one you just mentioned with Wisconsin was a big one for us. But, those transitions were hard decisions at the time. But, it's like anything else in life. When you get to a fork in the road, what appears to be an easier path and a more difficult path. And oftentimes the more difficult path is the one that ends up being the better one, the more fruitful one, and helps you grow as a person the most. And those are the forks in the road that I took, the more difficult path. And I'm thankful for my mentors to walk me through those moments because it helped shape the type of person that I am today, the dad I am, the business person I am, the athlete that I was. And so I'm very thankful for all those transitions.
Yeah. And again, I appreciate just the level of authenticity and transparency that you share in the many interviews that you've done. I've listened to a few of them. Share maybe one other lesson in just kind of leadership, but whether it's relevant to business life or both, as most are. Share another one that you really took away from your time at Michigan State. You played during a great era. Coach D'Antonio, how many unbelievable things can be said about that man? What's another one that's really been a significant impact or influence on your life today? Again, in business, in life in general, as a father and a husband?
Yeah, it's a great question. Coach D'Antonio, my other coaches, my father even, they were big discipline guys. Not reprimand, but just discipline, accountability. That's what matters in life. Loyalty, trust, those things matter. So I was taught that discipline is the biggest form of self-love, at Michigan State. And what I mean by that is, if you're willing to be disciplined, you're willing to get up early, do the hard stuff. Nothing shows that you want better for yourself more than pushing yourself through those adverse moments or persevering through difficult times. And so discipline being the greatest form of self-love was something that, I was taught early at Michigan State and I still carry with me today. And then I think, those adverse moments that I ran into with great competition, what it taught me is, life is hard, and you can be the hardest working and the most talented person on the planet. And that gives you a great chance to be very successful, but it doesn't guarantee anything, and life doesn't owe you anything. Nobody owes you anything. And so while it sets you up and tees you up, to give you the best chance of success, it also doesn't guarantee it. And that was a reality check for me, because I was taught growing up, like any kid, work hard, you're talented, whatever it might be, you're going to be successful. Well, in those moments, I had my ups and downs and levels of success. But maybe everybody was right, because what it does is it teaches you a lot of things, how you be successful in business on the back end or whatever it is. So it all comes to fruition in the end, but it doesn't guarantee things in the moment every single time like you think.
Yeah, and I appreciate that perspective on it. I mean, I 100% agree, and simply think, the discipline, the repetitions, the hard work simply gives us better odds when those moments present themselves, right? They just give us slightly more favorable positions and advantages, hopefully, in those moments of adversity. And you've had a number of those. You transitioned into one of the most difficult careers on planet Earth. Right. I often talk about what other profession could we find that's more full of rejection from the people that love and care about us the most than what we do for a living and for a calling today. But it's one of the most noble professions. Talk to me about just how you've made those difficult decisions of just transitions from college. I think you went into, medical device industry. Then from there, you went into financial services. Now you're married. You have two beautiful young children. A lot of transitions, a lot of successes along the way. Who's in your life that helps you make those decisions? And is there a process you go through when you're making difficult decisions, meaningful decisions in your life?
Yeah, those are all great questions, and a couple loaded questions. So if I don't answer one, feel free to ask it again and not avoiding them. And I'll start with maybe the last one, which is, what's my process in making difficult decisions? One, I am never one to make a rash, quick decision on anything of substantial, really substance, I guess, without at least taking 8 hours, 12 hours. I generally like to sleep on it, right? The old cliche that way.
Yeah.
I have a great supportive wife who is very smart in her own right, and I can bounce a lot of ideas on her. And I value her opinion. I genuinely do. But the greatest thing that I think anybody can do leading up to adverse situations is surrounding yourself with tremendous people, successful people. By successful, I don't necessarily mean financially successful. Are they good fathers? Are they good husbands? Are they do people love them in the community? Have they had success in business in the sense that they've always done the right thing? They've always done the right by people. And so I've intentionally done that. And so my process has always been to go to those people and bounce those ideas and take advice from them, or at least hear their feedback, take that information and make the best decision for myself. I didn't have a lot of those business relationships, right, growing up, but so those people were, my parents. I had great parents, grounded parents. My parents been together for 38 years. So those are people I look to up tremendously. My coaches, my hometown, leaders, and now a lot of the people I lean on are some of my greatest clients and are great mentors to me in a lot of ways.
I love the fact that I do hear you consistently recognize your parents. So much of who we are as an adult is a reflection of our childhood, good and bad, right? Celebrations or traumas, but there's probably so much about leadership and servant leadership that came out of your childhood home, and then you carried that through into your collegiate playing years at one of the highest levels that exists on the planet. And then you've now taken that into your professional career, in which you've been wildly successful. I mean, ridiculously successful. And congratulations on that. I often think about the fact that there are a few people in someone's life that really are just a big driving force and part of what makes the difference. I see that in Mel Tucker today at MSU. Let's pivot back to this weekend. Gosh, yeah. I can't believe the intensity and excitement that's surrounding this weekend with both teams coming in 7-0. Talk to me about Coach Tucker. You've met him many times. You've been around him. I know there's a relationship there. Talk to us about the impact that someone like Mel Tucker has on a program like Michigan State football today.
Well, he's deservingly driving a tremendous amount of excitement, and he is doing an incredible job of adapting to the new era of recruit, to the new era of athlete, to the new era of collegiate athletics. He has fully embraced the world that we live in as it relates to college football and the kids that he's coaching. And that is, in a lot of ways, he's a guy you can look up to and say, you know what, that guy is adapted, right? It's adapt or die in anything that we do in finance, business,
that's right.
Coaching. And he has done that. So I admire how he's going about things. And again, he's been with us for just over a year and a half. He's got really, if you count 2020 for whatever that was, but he's 7 games into 2021. And he's figuring some things out. And I think he's coached for Saban. He's been under tremendous coaching regimes. He's taken his version of what he interpreted there, brought it here, but also enhanced it into a new generation. And listen, he's young. He's got a ton of energy too, and he's in the recruiting trail. He knows exactly what he wants. He's very driven and focused on implementing what he seeks as the ideal football team, and he will not deviate from that, which I really love. Right, as a business person, don't get scattered. Stay on the rails, yes. And he's doing that. I admire the hell out of him.
What are you thinking as you start looking at the game for this weekend? I mentioned to you I was going to ask you for some sort of prediction. I'm not going to try to have you guess the score, but what do you think we can expect in terms of a game on Saturday?
Yeah, so the old cliche is like throw any predictions out the door. It's all emotion.
Yeah,
it's everything you want in college football, right? 2 schools that are within 45 minutes of each other or whatever it might be. There's a tremendous amount of heated rivalry on the line of hatred. Right? I don't necessarily use love, but there's a lot of love lost there. So, I see 2 very evenly matched football teams. If you're really to score it and break it down, I think, and this could be my Michigan State Kool-Aid drinking right now, we got the home field advantage. We have a coaching and a scheme that there's not a lot of film on them, so it's hard to prepare for them. They're unpredictable in some ways, which is good. They coach each game. They're not a system team, right? Where they're going to line up like Iowa and do the same thing for 4 quarters. They're going to prepare for each team differently. But if I were to score the teams, you'd see a lot of similarities in the trenches, right? The front 7 on both ends. I think where we're different and where at Michigan State might have the slight edge is going to be our receivers against their corners. I think we have more explosiveness. That could be the difference. The regulator on that is a tremendous front 7, which Michigan does have, by the way.
Yes.
First, top 5 pick, and Aiden Hutchinson, he can be a regulator there, but Michigan State can also score in a hurry too. So it's going to be a dogfight. Field position is going to be everything. Watch how punts kind of shake out, right? I think special teams is going to be the difference. If you want a prediction, I think Michigan State wins under a touchdown, probably by, I think, 6 points. I think it's going to be something like 27-21, something. Michigan will probably be driving at the end to score a touchdown too, and everybody's going to be on their toes.
I love what a financial and mathematical guy you are. I told you I wasn't going to put you on the spot. You literally called the spread and the exact score without trying to. I love it. So look, I knew we were short on time, and super thankful that we were even able to do this together on the week of the big game. I know how busy you are, so thanks for squeezing at the podium in. Let me ask you one last question. So whether it's with Ava and Atlas at home or folks at the firm or old buddies of mine from college, we often sit and philosophize about what it looks like to be a great teammate.
Yeah.
You have a ton of experience in that, both playing at one of the highest levels and in business today. And I know you're going to pass that down to Sam and Gianna Rose. Talk to me about the way, if you were going to give the pep talk for the team this weekend, and one of the bullets was speaking on what it looks like to be a great teammate in the moment. How would you describe that?
Ooh, that's putting me on the spot. That's putting some chills up my spine a little bit.
We'll edit it if we have to.
But it's interesting. Football, and I've heard this analogy before, and athletically, it is probably the closest thing to going to war that you're going to find, I think. And you are literally lining up with your brothers that you trained with, smacked pads with, bled with, probably cried with in some capacity at some point, from different parts of the country. And you come together for a common good and a common goal. And what's interesting about football, in general, not one player can just take over the game. You can't LeBron James football.
Yeah.
Right. It takes 11 guys on each side of the field, 22 guys, special teams, every scout player. And it's about complete selflessness. It's really simple in a lot of ways. If you put everybody else first and you put the guy next to you first, and you're willing to lay your body down, and you're willing to hurt yourself more than the next guy or lay it down more than your opposition, you're likely going to win that game, right? In an emotional game like this, right? Because you're throwing all the schemes out the door. It's just about who wants it more. So laying yourself down, being completely selfless, know your job and execute that job, and sacrifice your body for the next guy, and you'll come out on top. That would be my feedback.
I love it. Great way to wrap up. You heard it from Keith, Spartan for life, number 7. Probably one of the most insane moments in college sports on October 22nd of 2011. 3 seconds left. That pass was special. It is worth the 100,000 views it's had. And so Keith called it 27-21, Michigan State Spartans. No surprise. Keith Nichol, one of the top wealth advisors in the country, serving business leaders, entertainers, and professional athletes. It's a privilege to call you a friend, and it was awesome to be together. Send my love to your family.
Feelings mutual. Thanks, Manny. Appreciate you guys.
Thank you, Keith. Go White.